Holy cuss, Veronica Mars is back! Tonight we're talking about all the returning characters, plus the bomber at the Sea Sprite Motel right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV Talk. Now, let's
Hi guys, welcome to the Veronica Mars After Show at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we're talking about episode 1 of season 4. That is Spring Break Forever. I'm your host, Kelsey Hightower, and with me is one of the original Marshmallows. And if you are a Veronica Mars fan, you know that that is one of the highest compliments. That's an OG fan. The one and only, my co-host, Chae Jones.
Hey, Kelsey.
Hi, Chae. How are you doing tonight?
I'm super excited. Veronica Mars is back. I've been waiting 12 years for this moment. I'm just here for it.
Yes. Okay. Well, on that note, it has been 12 years. There has been a lot that's happened. There's been a movie. There was the writer's strike that, caused Veronica Mars to go off. Then we had the movie. Now we're back. We are so excited to see this time gap going through. What are your thoughts, your overall thoughts on episode 1?
I have missed the show so much. Let's be real clear. There's something about the writing of this show that they've been killing since 2004. They kill the dry humor, the relationships, and jumping back into the world, it still feels the same. It feels like we never left. It was the same way when you first saw the movie and you're just happy to see these faces again. And let's be clear, that movie made $5.9 million, which they only needed 2.5 to get it started. So that actually just shows you how true the Veronica Mars fans are.
It's a lot of nostalgia, I think, on this first episode, and I'm really grateful to see the characters coming back and having the original cast. So many people jumping on board to do Veronica Mars again. That means so much as a fan and as a viewer. So I'm really excited. We have a lot to talk about on this first episode. Let's jump in. Tonight we're going to be talking about the daddy-daughter duo, the Veronica Mars private investigator business. Then we're going to be talking about more of our characters that we've missed. Plus, Logan's back. I'm so excited, and he is hotter than ever, I'll tell you that.
Like, damn.
And lastly, we're going to be talking about the bombing at the Sea Sprite Motel. Plus, we have our top 3 crimes to talk about from the previous season in the movie. And finally, we've got a lot of news for you. So that's our show. We're going to jump right in, talking about the daddy-daughter relationship between Keith and Veronica. I love how the episode started off with seeing kind of a parallel between what Keith is doing and what Veronica is doing. Keith, he is taking kind of a free job, whereas Veronica is taking a $6,000 job. So we just see her excelling. But we also notice that his health is declining, which really makes me sad. It puts a heavy heart on me because I don't want anything bad to happen to Keith throughout the series. But what do you think about this parallel between the daddy-daughter relationship and their business?
Well, in her defense, the girl was talking about she was going to get $90K a month, and then she was like, I know how much money you make, you're going to give me more. So in her mind, it was a calculated risk to be like, instead of the $300 a day, it's $300 an hour. Personally, that's smart, and you can afford it, obviously. Give me $6,000.
Yep, she is so quick-witted. We see that in the writing, and we see that as Veronica Mars's character of who she is. She's so quick-witted to catch on that. But yeah, that woman, it made no difference. She pulled out her checkbook and she was just like, all right, I'll write you a $6,000 check. No problem. That's easy to do.
And then go change the smoke alarm because I don't do that. I want to be like, honey, I helped you.
That's not in my job description.
Right? You can pay somebody else for that personally.
Yeah. But
if that's the case, can you tack on another extra 100 or something since I'm short? You want me to get on a chair to do a smoke alarm for you?
Oh, yes. The short struggle is real with me too. So yeah, that's a big ladder job for her. And even then, I don't know. But yeah, jumping on counters and stuff. So
yeah, she would have to jump on the counter.
I know the struggle is real. I feel her pain on that one. Now with Keith, he is there is going to be something going on with the grocery store because he is helping find out who is releasing rats in this grocery store, and I think that is going to carry us through the season because it's a free job. Why is he doing that? Veronica is kind of like, Dad, why are you taking this job? This doesn't make sense. But we also notice that his health is kind of on a decline.
Yeah.
That is sad for me.
It's very sad because you're so used to him being this just so much energy. But also the reason I think he's taking the job, I feel like it also leads back to when he probably first started Mars Investigation. He did whatever odd jobs he could do to help the people in the community. That's why he was so well liked even before he left and after he left of being sheriff. Is why he continues to be well liked.
That's true. And that's why I think Veronica Mars is back in Neptune. You know,
Well, I mean, that's not the only reason, but, you know.
That's true. But, you know, she has some of that with her dad and, you know, it's the relationship.
And their banter between each other, it just never stops. And she's like, that's between me and my maker. He said, I am your maker. And I loved it.
I did too. That was good. And they have this running joke with they're not cussing. Like they're saying cuss instead of the F word.
Yeah, it's an F word because that's a whole news story for another thing. But there's a reason why they're saying it. Mm-hmm. But the way that Rob Thomas still somehow worked that in like we're in the good place, I appreciated it.
It does. It reminds me of the good place. I think that was one of my first thoughts too. Whenever they the first time I heard that, I guess I was like, oh, holy fork, you know, like we're bringing this, you know, over. So it's fun to see. It's a fun banter, I think, that has carried us through this episode. So anything else that you would like to mention about the daddy-daughter duo, just to start us off?
I love them so much. They are my favorite daddy-daughter duo on TV. And I feel like Keith may be like early Alzheimer, maybe dementia, that kind of accelerated because of the accident maybe as well.
And that could be it.
And it's really giving those vibes that he maybe have early Alzheimer or early dementia that hasn't really, and all the doctor just wants to keep like, you don't just throw pills at a situation.
That's true. And there's a lot of pills he's taking.
And then he added a new doctor, not even his doctor, added a new one. And it also because of their money issues that he can't really get the actual
help that he needs.
Yeah, the help that he needs, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's walking with a cane too from the wreck and everything. So it's just, he's still very sharp, I would say, but yeah, he's forgetting things. He has memory loss, and that's really sad. I don't know. I hope that we see him get better through the season and not worse, because it's very relatable. I mean, you watched this show growing up, right? Mm-hmm. Were you like in high? I mean, you don't have to disclose, but like, were you were you growing up with the show? I guess like I was in high school when this show came out, so it's like her dad is kind of like. My dad, she's like everybody's dad. So I like picture my own parents, you know, like going through like the same sort of thing. And I feel like I'm an adult now. She's an adult now. I grew up with the show. So it's fun to watch this go through.
It's weird for me. I did grow with it from middle school to high school, growing up to it, and just watching such a fantastic female lead kill at this role. It was something that we needed on TV at the time. Just a kick butt, just female lead on a show. That's why I loved it. But having Keith Mars, he was just like that dad. He was like, as corny as he was so cool. He still would check on you if you were at your man's house. He's like, say goodbye to Logan for me. Like, he doesn't know, like, he knows things.
He does. He is a private investigator. Yeah. But speaking of strong, powerful women, we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. So we have a special segment about women breaking the glass ceiling. So I just want to put that in there.
We do have people in the chat too.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining. Be sure to keep up with us in the conversation, and we'll be able to shout you out, answer questions, join along with us. Let's go ahead and move on to one of my favorite topics. Logan. Logan is back.
So happy.
That's really exciting to see him coming out from the ocean. He's still catching waves. He has been working out since we saw him last. He was looking good in the movie, but like he looks really good. Really good.
Those abs on abs on abs. Like,
yeah, I think he's only been in the gym. Like that's been his full-time job since, the movie. So are you happy to see them together? Are you happy about this relationship?
I was always Team Logan. I've always been Team Logan since it happened. I loved Piz. I just never thought he was right for Veronica. He's more like a puppy.
Oh, he's so sweet. I really loved Piz. And I'm glad that they were in a relationship for a while, but I agree with you that she's probably, her and Logan are meant for each other. Like, they should be together, like, end game, but Piz was, like, a good relationship for a while game.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I'll float with that.
Yeah.
For me, it was just never a thing where I knew they're, like, Piz and Veronica were going to end up. Only Piz is always more accommodating, and Veronica needs that extra fire to match hers, so, like, they're on the same level. And that's what I've always felt like she was missing with Piz. He's more accommodating. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not terrible if you're a guy. That's actually really awesome. But if you don't mesh with the other person, then it's kind of like, how long are you going to be together?
Well, speaking of how long are you going to be together, Logan proposes to Veronica in this episode.
He attempts.
He starts to propose and she stops him. Were you surprised? I mean, I felt this coming. They've been together. I was like, if they're not already married, then it's probably coming. But were you shocked at all by Veronica's reaction to, declining the proposal and just stopping him in his tracks?
I want to say no, I wasn't. Because I totally get where she's coming from because of all the things she's been through. But I'm also thinking in my head, it's because of all that you've been through, you finally get to have an end game. You, like, as much as you see the worst in other people, you have something real with Logan. And because you have seen your parents divorce and his parents, there is something that, because you've seen their mistakes, you can hopefully try not to make the same mistakes your parents made in their marriages.
Mm-hmm. And they've been through so much together growing up. Do you think that he was sincere in his proposal? I know Veronica kind of doubts that and thinks that maybe he wanted the upper hand on it. But do you think that it was a sincere proposal from Logan?
Yes. I feel like something happened before he came home that really just made that decision where if I'm gonna, leave this earth, I want to be with that one woman that has been down, ride or die for me for a long time.
Yeah. And he's changed. I can tell through this episode that has such a calmer persona. And he talks about going to therapy, and he even suggests that Veronica goes to therapy. So it seems like he's trying to make a change within himself because he's been through so much, and he's seen so much. So I don't know. Now that he's changed, are they still compatible? Or do you think that he's changed too much and she's, going steady in a different direction?
I feel like there are certain parts of Logan that are the same, but the parts of what he used to be is different. And that's something Veronica has to learn. Because even in the movie, they still have their chemistry. They're still together, but they have barely spent time enough together to see who they are 10 years later.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's gone.
He's gone most of the time because he's in the Navy.
Right.
And my ex is in the Navy, so I totally get how that is. I only get to talk to him like a blue moon. And if he's in trouble, I'm just like, dude, when you answer the phone, you know you're in trouble, okay?
Oh, that's hard. And you don't know where he's at or where he's going?
He tells me after. He tells me after. So he's stationed for 3 years in Japan, and now he's in Australia because he got shot. But I just found this out. And he's like, oops. Yeah, oops, you never told me this, sir. Yeah. But okay. So I definitely get it because he's in the Navy, but he can't tell me anything of what he's dealing with. And you have to figure out how to be, alone. It's like, anytime you're an army wife, a military wife, you have to figure out who you are without that person alone. Because you're going to have to be able to deal with it if something happens to them while they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Veronica's good with being independent and being alone. I think she's not good with not knowing things because that's what she wants to do is figure everything out, and that's what she does.
Which is why she's going through the bag and checking everything
and looking at the sand, and that's why she knows what type of sand is in there, if it's the beach sand or if it's a sand from Iraq or something.
Yeah, so. Afghanistan, Middle Eastern sand. I don't know how there's a difference in those two sands, but
if anyone knows, it's Veronica Mars.
We assume she knows.
She will. Okay, so there will be more to come about this Logan and Veronica proposal, and long-term, they're starting off with conflict, I think, in this very first episode, which is good. We set that up for conflict, and we'll see where it goes. Are you excited? Let's just talk about all the other characters that we've seen. So Logan made an appearance.
Yeah, I had to write things down because I was super happy.
I know. Every time you see somebody, it's like, yes, we saw there's a new police chief, so that's new.
Played by the amazing and incomparable Don Lewis. Like, I was just like, yay, when I saw her.
Take a moment.
I was so happy. I've missed her, seeing her rock a TV set, and that was just awesome for me. Because she's flawless.
Yeah, much better than David Lamb that we got.
Any Lamb. One or two, I don't care. They're both terrible.
Yes, exactly. So that's our new character, but we saw Wallace come back.
And he's married now since the movie.
And has a kid.
Living in this...
Beautiful.
Dude, you make a teacher salary. What are you making at Neptune High that you have? I mean, granted...
But what is she doing?
She's a lawyer, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's another... We will get to women breaking the glass ceiling at the end of this. I've already thrown it out once, but she is wearing the pants.
And she has my name. So.
Yeah. I know. We've got another Chae. Yes. So we've got Wallace, married, has a family. He picked a good one. I'll say that.
A very good one. She's
But
awesome.
he deserves it. He's such a sweet guy. Like, he is incredible. We saw Cliff. Cliff coming back.
Cliff, for me, I always love when I see Cliff. I'll have time when you hear his voice, you think of, like, Fairly Odd Parents or any other Nickelodeon thing he's done. But when you just see him in his lawyer garb trying to finagle... You know,
the ambulance chaser, as they called him.
Yeah, I mean, technically it could be true, but I mean, he has some major chops. Like, let's give it up. He can work a room when he needs to.
Yes, he can. That he does an incredible performance. I laugh every time he, has a line or does anything. He's great. So yeah, we saw Cliff. We saw, of course, Keith and Veronica and Logan, and then.
We saw
Jonathan
Chesner. Oh, we haven't seen Dick yet.
His dad.
Next week. Oh, we saw Big Dick.
Big Dick.
You got to do the difference.
He's out of jail.
He is out of jail, out of Chino, running nuts.
Yeah, Big Dick is running the nuts. That's good writing for you right there.
That was a great little surprise. I don't know why I was not expecting to see him, but I wasn't.
I wasn't either. That was one of my surprises as well. I just thought he was going to be locked away just kind of forever. So I was like, he's done. But now it's been so many years. It's kind of incredible that he has served his time and he's out of jail. So we get to see a whole different life or prison. I always get those confused.
And then we saw Jonathan Chesner, who played Corny as Keith. First of all, what is Corny doing being a physical trainer? That's where I got lost.
I know. And not a very good one, of course.
He's on this is on the phone. Yeah, dude, you're doing great.
With sunglasses on.
With sunglasses. Like, I mean, are you paying attention?
Yes.
To what's happening?
No, he's not. Of course. Yeah, but we saw him, and then that is about... Did we see anybody else?
We saw a new character, Simon, played by Logan Miller, which was... I love anytime I see Logan. He plays nerdy very, very well. Mm-hmm. And it was just... I really like seeing him as a character because I met him a couple times, and it's just really cool when I watch him be nerdy. Because I feel like, dude, as old as you gotten since the last time I saw you, and you still can play nerdy in this character he plays it different ways. I think that's what I like about him as an actor. Mm-hmm. He plays nerdy, each character, not the same whatsoever. There's something always different and intrusive about it. I love it.
That's good. Yeah, so it was incredible to see this, these reoccurring or coming back.
Nicole. We forgot Nicole.
Oh, and Nicole. Yes.
Bad British, and I love it.
She's a new character coming in. She was incredible. I think that she'll be around throughout this season, so I'm excited to watch her character develop. Yes, one more.
Just one more.
One more.
Alana Ubek, who plays Sylvie, El Despiado's ex-wife. And if you recognize her from Legally Blonde, you are correct. That is her. She will be in Legally Blonde 3. And I am so here for it.
So all of these characters have one thing in common. They were there or are involved in some way with the bombing. Yes. So let's go ahead and jump into the spring break bombing. This is going to be the big crime that we're covering throughout this series, or this season, mm-hmm. Season 4. And just to set it up before we jump into it, spring break is one of the biggest, money-making businesses for these small businesses in Neptune High, and we see all of the businesses being affected by it in a good way. On the beach, that's where we have the Nut Corporation, Neptune United for Tiny Towns, come in because they're trying to get those businesses out of there, come in and take over so they can make a profit.
Just gentrification. That is in a very... Just with a different name. Let's be really clear.
So that is what the setup is behind the scenes. And then they're all at the motel, and there is a bombing. Now, there are 4 people that die, and the pizza man was there in close quarters. The motel's owner's daughter was in the car and saw the whole thing. So those are the witnesses. And yeah, that's where Veronica Mars comes in. That's where the new chief police woman comes in. And that's where we have this new group. I want to call it the Mexican cartel. I mean, would that be an appropriate name to say?
I think it's a cartel. I'm pretty sure it's a cartel.
The cartel is coming in because the congressman's youngest brother, I almost wanted to say son, but brother, his fiance died in it, so they're involved too.
And the nephew of El Despiado's ex-wife, which is why they're in it. Yeah.
Which is the congressman's brother. That's the connection there. And so everybody's in the meshing pot here, connected, and everyone's it's a race to solve this crime. People are going to die. It's going to be really great and exciting. So that's where we're at as far as the bombing goes. What are your thoughts on this bombing that happens?
I thought it was crazy because the only reason it happened in the area, like nobody, they wouldn't even been there if it wasn't for Alex and the fiance coming down, and then Jenny, she wouldn't have came down with the makeup bag, and she got hit too as well. I mean, we haven't seen her since this episode, but she got like her face is all mangled a little bit from the blast of it all. And I think I felt bad for Maddie because having to watch your dad in his final moments is something you'll never forget. Yeah,
that is going to be interesting to see with Maddie. She kind of reminds me of being like a young Veronica Mars, because now she's lost her dad and she's independent, and she's gonna, I think, she was the only one that saw it. So she's been talking to the police officer, and she ran away from that, talking to her. So I think that she knows more than she wants to tell, and she doesn't know who she's going to trust, I think, is the big thing.
What got me the most was the congressman's mother, just the reverse sexism of it all. Whereas, Don Lewis, who plays by Chief Langdon, is talking to her, and she's like, "Can I get somebody that's in charge?"
To the woman,
to the woman, and then looks at like her partner, the guy, and saying, "Are you in charge?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Lady, if you want to get somebody higher than me, you're gonna have to need a ladder to heaven."
Exactly. Well, and she does the same thing to Veronica Mars.
Yes.
Whenever they go in to hire a PI, she sends Veronica out of the room and wants to only talk to Keith. And I thought that was incredible when Veronica shouted back the rate. She was like, "Hello, I'm the actual one." We're a team effort here.
Or just before her dad says anything, "You can afford me. You can afford more than our actual rate, so we're actually going to charge you some actual money now." Because it's fine if you really want to have your whole what you think a woman's place is, quote unquote, but I'm still going to get my cut.
Right. Exactly.
I still need my money.
Yeah, you do. Who do you have any initial suspects for the bombing?
Bombing.
No pressure.
I feel like Nuts is involved. I don't know how. There's only reason why you'd want to destroy Spring Break, which is the highest. That's how people make the most money in Neptune. They make it through Spring Break. Nicole said she made just $200,000 from selling 20,000 shirts.
Right.
So
thinking Nut is sorry, this is going to be fun. You think that Nut is behind this, and
I feel like it'll be too much of a coincidence that they weren't.
True. Do you think? In my opinion, I think that the pizza guy is going to mess up or get involved, or dwindle his way in there. It's not going to be good. The congressman and the cartel are going to shoot the wrong people or come after the wrong people. And I also think that, Nut has something to do with it. So that's where I'm heading, I think, for this bombing, situation. Do you have any other thoughts on maybe either who's behind it or if anybody's going to come after anybody else? Like, bad guy, good guy? Do you think the cartel is going to be good and helpful for Veronica, like the PC9ers were?
Or the PCHers?
PCHers, yes. Do you think that's going to be helpful?
I feel like she can turn it to be helpful. She
can turn anything to be helpful, right?
If she needs to. She has... Veronica Mars is the best kind of character where she can just turn the situation to her advantage when it needs to be that way. If it's not going in the direction she wants, she somehow always figures out a way to get it in the direction she needs it to be.
True.
So.
All right. So this is the biggest crime that is happening for this season. But let's take a look at the top 3 crimes that have happened in the previous seasons and in our movie. So we are about to rate what we believe are our top 3 crimes. And if you agree, you can comment with us. And if you disagree, you can tell us why not. How's that sound?
Cool.
Cool.
Hey, guys. So our top 3 crimes of the Veronica Mars universe. Number 3, Carrie Bishop's murder. Took place in the movie. Obviously, that's why Veronica came back to Neptune to help Logan out so he was not framed for murder a second time. Somehow people just like to frame Logan for murder. This is how it happens.
He's too hot, I'd frame him too.
I mean,
crime of being too hot.
You're just a scapegoat. Okay. Number 2, the Hearst College rapes that happened partly in season 2, and then Veronica dealt with in season 3 as she attended Hearst College her first freshman year. And number 1, obviously, is Lily Kane's murder, played by the amazing Amanda Seyfried. And it's still one of those. This is the thing that started Veronica Mars in the first place. This is what put her on the trajectory to who she is now. So that's why it's also number 1.
That is, yes, that, and it's also the most dangerous crime that we've seen. She almost died. Her dad almost died. There was a lot of different people involved. It went, many people were accused wrongfully for her murder, and I also think it was one of the most dangerous.
I mean, you could say the same thing honorable mention-wise for the school bus bombing and Cassie Casablanca's just suicide bombing of the airplane.
A lot of people died for that, yes. Yeah. And Veronica was also put in danger with the rape as well. She almost had her hair shaved and all that stuff. But, I mean, I don't think anything beats being locked in a washing machine.
Oh, it was one of those freezer.
Freezer.
Without being, it wasn't frozen, but yeah.
Right.
And then having the flames.
Yes, it's one of those appliances, a home appliance, and then having it being lit on fire. Like that in itself.
That actually was the worst one. It really is. I think that's the worst thing, seriously. Not because it really set the tone of what Veronica Mars could become, but also because, dude, you got locked in a little freezer and set on fire. Like, if he killed Lily, he has no problem killing in to keep the secret. And he was willing to kill 3 people for it.
Yes, he was a monster. So that is why we have rated that one your number 1 pick for our Veronica Mars crime. Now we are going to move on to our special segment. Our special segment, we are going to do this every single week, and that is called Breaking the Glass Ceiling.
Yes.
You have a strong women panel here at AfterBuzz TV for Veronica Mars, and we have been influenced by Veronica Mars herself because she is an incredibly strong, independent, smart woman playing a lead character on a TV show. Her character is not only strong, but Kristen Bell is incredibly talented, smart, and strong female leading the way, trailblazing. So we are going to be talking about other strong women who are breaking the glass ceiling. So Chae, who are we talking about this week?
Today we're talking about Georgia Ann Robinson. She is famous for being the first Black female police officer to work for the Los Angeles Police Department and may have been the first Black female LEO in the country. She was hired in 1916 based on her strong work for community organizations throughout LA, beginning as a volunteer before becoming a full-fledged officer when she was hired as a jail matron in 1919. She also worked as an investigator in juvenile and homicide cases. Robinson was a beacon of her community throughout her entire life. She started a much-needed women's shelter in the city during her time as a cop, and her work for the citizens of LA continued in the form of civil rights activism after an on-duty injury prematurely ended her career as a police officer.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And to happen in LA and to be a police officer, like we're talking about on the show. We have some strong police officers on the show as well. So thank you, Chae.
You're welcome.
That was great. Also, thank you guys for being out in the chat. I just want to give a quick shout out to Eldon and Brown and Makeda Richardson. And thank you guys for chatting with us. Let's go ahead and talk about maybe some predictions for the overall
Your
season?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so we kind of can see that we are talking about one specific crime, the bombing, for this season. Where do you think that this is going to take us? Either in the next episode or in the entire season.
Overall, prediction-wise, the more we discover, it's definitely going to lead to something tragic. And I'm just afraid for that because I've been waiting 12 years for this, and I love the writing, I love everything about this season. But I know, like, something you can just feel when you're watching. Whatever I think is going to happen, it's going to be probably a little bit worse than what I thought in the first place, and I don't know how I'm going to handle it. But prediction wise, I definitely feel like we're going to learn more about Nuts and their plan, or what the actual plan is, so to speak. And we're definitely going to figure out who is causing all these small businesses to sell, to Nuts in the same way.
I think I would agree. I'll piggyback off of you. I think that through finding that out, we're going to hopefully see some more characters coming in. I hope we see, maybe an ex or two along the way, or maybe some old friends from Neptune High or college. I also am going to predict that Logan and Veronica make it through, because I don't know who else she would be with if she wasn't with Logan. So I hope to see that relationship continue. And this is less of a prediction and more of a hopeful. I hope that her dad gets better and nothing terrible or tragic happens to Keith, because I don't know what would happen to me if I lost Keith Mars. So that's kind of my prediction. Let us know what your predictions are. You can put those down in the chat below. You can live chat us now, whatever you have for your predictions, and we can read them out loud. And finally, before we say goodbye, let's talk about some news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so see, my thing went out.
Oh no, that's okay.
So I'm just getting into it. Oh, my password is stupid. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. So
basically, I know what it is. I just wanted to read verbatim. So today's news is Veronica Mars goes to Hulu and grows the F up. Because the thing about Veronica Mars, and something that's been happening since 2004, it was a trailblazer of shows that just exceeded expectations on what it could be, and also proved that you could have a female lead be a little stronger and independent in a way that no other female on television was at the time. So every renewal felt like a hard-won victory. The show, a sarcastic noir masquerading as a high school drama, featured a nuanced, complicated woman who didn't care if people liked her before that could describe most female characters on screens. At times, she was selfish. She chased trouble romantically and professionally. She would have the vocabulary of a sailor if the network or Hulu allowed. It wasn't enough for her to know that she was the smartest person in the room. Everyone has to know it too. She was the exact hero we needed then, and she is the exact hero we need today. The show reminded viewers both how powerful women could be and how little that matters in a world set only up for powerful men. We saw exactly how hard it was for survivors of rape to be heard when the rapist is wealthier and more powerful before the Me Too movement. And it showcased how in a world of have and have-nots, justice and equality are often pipe dreams. Now, season 4 of Veronica Mars being on Hulu 12 years after the original ended and 5 years following the movie is entertaining. If you're a fan of the original, I count myself among the diehard marshmallows. You will enjoy it. And I'm so happy. This is something all Veronica Mars fans have been waiting since the movie came out in 2014. Because we fell in love with these characters back almost more than 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we fell in love with them. And it's been so long. And to see it finally come back and still keep some of the same banter and have those, little warm and fuzzy feelings, but still have the noir feeling to it. It's amazing and perfect, and I'm just so happy.
That we are so happy, and we are so happy that she is a trailblazer in many ways, not only the writing, but as a character, as a female empowerment person, and in so many other ways, as a character and as a person. So we are excited to continue watching this. Thank you guys for watching this episode, and we will be back to talk about episode 2. Before we go, Chae, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me Mondays, Grand Hotel at 8 p.m. and Tuesdays, Good Trouble.
And I'm Kelsey Hightower, and you can find me right back here on our next episode. We'll talk to you soon.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.